So right now we're at a good point. We could actually go in and we could look at an earthwork volume from the finished grade to the existing ground. Now, if you wanted to go to subgrade, we could go back in and we could create another surface, and we can do that real quick. So we will create a corridor surface that will represent our subgrade. So this is going to be our new road. We'll just call it subgrade. We're not gonna give it a style. We're gonna tell it no display because I don't necessarily want to see the subgrade surface, but I want to pull my earthwork volume from that subgrade surface. So we're going to be using links, and I want to use my datum code for that link. I'll add it, and I'll tell it to follow the bottom links. This is going to give us a surface to subgrade, and we'll use the corridor boundary as the limits also, so that we don't get extraneous triangulation. And it generated my other surface. Now I can hover right here over my road, and it will tell me all of the different elevations for that for the surfaces that I have represented underneath where my cursor is just sitting on the screen right now. So I've got my new road surface, which would be the proposed road. I've got my new road subgrade, which gets us down below and takes out the pavement thicknesses and everything. And this is the surface that we would want to use for our earthwork. And then it's got our existing survey elevation. So if I wanted to know where I was earthwork-wise, where I stood volume-wise, I can go up to Analyze and select my volumes dashboard. Now we want to be sure that we're not, in this particular situation, we're not going to have to bring in a ton of fill or create fill by cutting in some specific areas. Whatever we need to do to balance this, we'll be able to tell right here. So I'm going to go ahead and create a volume surface, and we'll just call this earthwork. And we will tell it that we don't want to see it, so we're going to leave it a no display style. We'll select our base surface, which will be the existing ground that we had surveyed. So it's the surveyed existing ground surface. And we'll be sure that we pick our subgrade road surface. And we'll hit OK. And it gives us our cut and fill. So right now, we got lucky. If you look here at net adjusted, we're at 641.23 cut. If we needed to adjust this to allow for, we know we're going to have to bring in dirt for specific situations, or the actual design itself doesn't warrant maybe balancing, and we have to lift up the road in certain places, because let's just say in this area right here, this is around station 0 plus 420. If we look at that in our plan view at 0 plus 420, let me pan down to it. That's 2. We're going to have some sort of low point right in here. Maybe we need to raise that up a little bit so that we can get our stormwater piping and everything in there to get the water away from the road. We may need to actually drop that down a little, or move the low point. What we can do is we can edit the vertical profile so that we can place our low point where we want. So I'm going to go ahead and move my dialog box out of the way. And I'm going to split my screen into 2 screens so you can kind of see what's going on here. So I'm going to go ahead and take and split my screen in half. So on this side, we're going to look at the vertical profile. And on this side, around that station area that we were updating, you can see the contours. So you can see this set of contours here that was generated from the corridor. And we can see our earthwork calculations. So I'm going to tell my corridor I want to rebuild automatically. So every time I adjust it, it will rebuild the corridor. So I'm going to select that vertical curve, and I'm going to move the low point to this location right here, down further, so we've got a little bit more area to get underneath the road and daylight on either side. So you can see it adjusted the corridor information, plus it adjusted the surfaces, okay, just from that one grip edit. So when you think about minimizing errors and rework, this one adjustment touches a lot of different entities inside of Civil 3D. And if you can imagine trying to make sure that the labels match up and have been adjusted accordingly, this is a big help. So we can look at our earthworks now and see that the information is out of date. If we select the refresh button, it rereads the surfaces and gives us our new earthwork calculation. Now again, that dropped us down cut-wise a little bit more. So I could move this profile up, and it would create a bunch of fill right there in that area. So it adjusts our corridor, adjusts our contours, and if we refresh, it adjusts our earthwork. Now that's just a little bit too much fill, so I'm going to bring it back down to say right here. And again, we can get a lot more precise with this, but for the essence of time today, we're going to just grip edit it down and get it close. So here's our final earthwork that we're going to use for our roadway.